So this was a much more crazy journey than I thought, and the results are not what you may expect, because I watched all these videos. I thought it was going to be life-changing. I thought my productivity was going to go through the roof. I thought I was going to, I don't know, change or something, but the results aren't as extreme, and the experience itself was pretty painful and long. So I'm excited to share, guys, the 30-day no-fap experience, where I went ahead and documented every single day, all the ups, all the downs, all the realities, all the truths. It was a very cool, unique journey, and I'm excited to share, you guys, everything in today's video. Before we get to today's video, let's start by announcing last video's winners for $1,000 worth of courses or consulting calls with me. The winner's here. If you guys want to qualify, all you have to do is drop a comment below, follow me on Instagram, hit the subscribe button. I'll be picking the best comment every single video. Other than that, let's get right into today's video. So how this started was, I was on YouTube, and on my recommendation I just got a bunch of videos from like Captain Sinbad, a bunch of these other sort of personal development YouTubers about NoFap, and I was like everyone's talking about all these crazy benefits, and what if they are, Mike Vasile always talks about NoFapping, and all these sort of pretty smart, educated people are talking about it, doing it, and talking about the benefits. So I was like, am I missing out on something crazy? Am I missing out on some like productivity hack? And the only way to find out was to personally test it myself. And I was going to document the whole journey to you guys, because I'm pretty transparent, I'm pretty not biased, and it's pretty hard to get a really radical change out of me. And I think most people would relate, and that's exactly why I wanted to document this journey. And let's get into the 30-day of NoFap. Here are the first few days where I talk about why I went ahead and started the journey, what my thoughts are, what I'm expecting, and yeah. Alright, so it is currently the 8th of Jan. Yeah, so on the 5th, last Sunday, that's when I started retaining. So it's been roughly, I didn't sort of plan to do this for 30 days, but after 3 days in, watching a bunch of random videos on this topic, I'm like, yeah, I might as well give it a try. Go for 30 days and just see the results for myself. See if it's real, if it's BS. But I'm gonna document my journey. So what happened was, I fapped was on the 5th of January on a Sunday. So it's currently the 8th of Jan. Monday didn't, I don't, really have the urge to do it every day. Luckily, I'm not addicted. So I didn't do it on the next day, which was the 6th. And then yesterday was the 7th. Long day of work, very long, a lot of calls, a lot of meetings, a lot of interviews, and I was just exhausted. Usually I would have went ahead and sort of do it, but I wanted to test something new where I won't do it when I'm at a low point and I'm just exhausted, tired, burnt out. I'll only do it when I'm at a high point, because I feel like you go into a negative cycle where you get into a low point, you sort of ejaculate, then you sort of get in a lower point, and then you sort of ejaculate more, and you just sort of go deeper and deeper and deeper, and that's how people get sucked into a deep burnout hole. So I told myself not to do it when I'm burnt out and see the results the next day, see if I wake up much more sort of recovered. So today's the next day, and that was on the 7th. So I didn't do it on the 7th as well. So it's been 2 days. So now it's the 8th. I woke up, I do feel recovered, not fully recovered in any way, but I just got like 10 hours of sleep. Let's check my actual Oura ring. So I was actually in bed for 11 freaking hours, man. That's crazy. Damn, even with like 11 hours, my sleep score was only 76. I think it was just too hot last night, maybe. Man, this sucks. Didn't get enough deep sleep. What's happening? Got like much more sleep than I usually get. But watching all these videos on retaining, like I'm on edge right now. I'm like, damn, like this is tougher. But I definitely see how I have this weird like angst, this sort of urge that I can sort of redirect into my business, into making videos like this. Like I wasn't thinking about making a series, but I was like, yeah, I'm gonna try for 30 days and I'm gonna document that whole series. And yeah, I guess I do feel more energy. Usually by this time I'm a bit tired. But I'm able to sort of redirect this energy, I guess. I'm gonna try to keep it up for 30 days, guys. Oh my god. So it's currently 8:50 p.m. It's still the 8th of Jan, still 3 days in. Now it's sort of nighttime. I have this urge, like I wanna do it so badly, but I'm gonna try to redirect this sort of thirst and like horniness just into doing work. I'm definitely on edge right now. I'm trying to hold it in. This is going to be a very real and raw sort of 30-day series, and I'm just going to be very raw and give you guys my true feelings, show you guys all the ups, all the downs, all the real side effects, because I think the more real this is, one, I can show you how difficult it actually is to do, but showing the hardships would make whatever benefits I get from it much more authentic. But yeah, I'm gonna try to redirect all this energy into getting work done. Peace. And that was for the first few days, and then it gets very, very tough. Like I go through periods where I'm like, damn, like this is definitely a habit. This is definitely not an addiction, but a routine. And after a few days, I get very, very just like pent up. Alright, another update. It's currently the next day, 9th of Jan. Last night I was so hard to sleep. I just had so much energy. Very hard to knock out. Much more calm and zen this morning. But I'm going through Instagram and I've just noticed there's so many triggers. Like there's so many triggers nowadays, and I feel sorry for the next generation, because like Instagram is just gonna get more and more crazy, more and more illicit, and like people are just gonna constantly get triggered, hit the bathroom, and like it's hard. But this is day 4. Keep you guys updated. And then that sort of energy does sort of plateau. I found out that you go through a period of the first sort of 1 or 2 weeks where you have all this sort of pent up energy. You're just like motivated, you're wide awake, your eyes are wide open just because you're on edge. And it sort of plateaus and it sort of disappears, and you go back to normal where you go through days where you're not motivated, you go through days where you feel burnt out, and that sort of energy sort of just plateaus and it becomes your new normal. And that's sort of what happens, and you can see in these several clips. Alright, so I am 8 days in. What can I say? Definitely have more time. Definitely starting to realize how there's just triggers everywhere. Like everywhere, on Instagram, on YouTube, there's just literally triggers everywhere. I'm not getting really much sort of extra energy, so that sort of initial frustration and built up like energy and angst, like that's gone. I'm sort of near a new baseline. I can sort of feel it, and every time I feel that urge, I can sort of direct it to work. So I can sort of do that, but when I don't have triggers, I'm just normal. It's so easy. Like people literally, it's like a free like pass to like dopamine rush every single day, and you don't have to do anything to obtain it. There's no work, there's no grind, you don't have to woo anyone. It's just very accessible. It's like being able to eat one of the world's most delicious burger whenever you want, you know, once every day. And if you do it once every day, you don't get fat. Been talking to like doctors and other mentors, and you know, they talk about how you sort of reach a new baseline, and after you sort of hit that new baseline, apparently all your urges just disappear. You no longer feel any urge, and you hit this new baseline where there isn't any sort of benefits. But we'll see. Man, it's getting hard. Like I want to be able to reward myself. I want to be able to relax. I want to be able to get some, you know, satisfaction. But I just, you know, I'm holding out just for this 30-day experiment. Like basically this YouTube video is the only thing that's keeping me on track. But yeah, like it's hard. The past 2 days I've had a down period. I sort of burnt out, worked too hard, had like not much motivation, which is totally normal. That's sort of the ups and downs. I don't know, man. Like I do have all this sort of pent up like urge and thirst, which I can sort of drive and direct to work. I'm able to really direct that energy correctly. It does work, but it's not too much of like a big crazy improvement. Like I feel pretty normal, feel like myself, but I definitely sort of get the placebo effect of that increased sort of motivation and stuff. When I was fapping, I did have this same exact amount of motivation. This isn't much more. I do have that sort of pent up urge to like just fap, but I'm able to, I guess, redirect it into work. But other than that, not much crazy benefits. 9 days in, I want to break this so badly because yeah, it's hard. But I'm gonna keep going for this experiment's sake. And then even though things sort of plateaued, there was definitely tough periods, especially during the last week, where I knew that the final day was coming. And I also went through times where I was just bored. I finished my work early. I did everything, like I just had an early day, but I couldn't do anything. Like there was not, like usually those days I would go ahead and fap, but I couldn't because I had this 30-day rule. So there were definitely tough days near the end, as you see here. Alright, so quick update guys. The retention there's been some nights like last night where I'm just like, damn, I want to break this sort of 30-day challenge. It's been very, very hard to maintain. The only thing that keeps me going is like, I'm already, in this case, how many days in? Nearly 19 days in, I'm nearly finished. If I break it, the whole YouTube series and all the effort I'm putting into filming these would just go to waste. So I've just been pushing through just to release this. But yeah, I've recently been burnt out the past 2 days I've just been working too much, burnt out. So retention does not prevent you from burning out. Yes, I had like not much motivation because I was just burnt. Every time I get like thirsty, I can sort of use that energy and direct it to work, I guess. But other than that, there's not much sort of advantages or like some crazy like whoa happening. But I'm definitely curious to see what happens when I break it, if my motivation just dips the next day. Days like this gets very difficult because, you know, it's a Saturday night, I'm home alone, I got a lot of work done. I really want to break this, but you know, I'm trying my best not to. Just wanted to document this and I'm gonna push through to the end because I'm so close. I started this NoFap journey on the 5th. It's currently the 28th. So I've got 1 more week to go. Less than 1 week actually. And yeah, it's getting pretty tiring. What I've noticed is that I recently went on a holiday trip, and for the majority of this journey, I was indoors and I just worked at home. When I went on this holiday trip, there's so many triggers. People everywhere, beautiful woman. You know, I'm going to the beach, everyone's in bikinis. I'm seeing images, I'm seeing this and that, I'm watching movies. There's just so many triggers that just makes no-fapping so hard. I don't have that much motivation. I feel pretty normal. I don't feel like really wide awake. I guess I do have more sort of energy, but I think I have more energy just because I'm sleeping more and I'm balancing my life more. But I don't think that more energy comes from no fapping. What I think is, I was talking to one of my uncles, he's like a doctor, and you know, fapping is just sort of a natural thing, such as eating and sleeping. When you're hungry, food tastes amazing. So when you deprive yourself of fapping, fapping is supposed to be super amazing, which is true. So I think it's just sort of a natural thing. I don't think that fapping, this sort of burst of dopamine and satisfaction, is unhealthy, because when you're hungry, eating food is satisfying, and that isn't seen as unhealthy. Only when you sort of eat food to compensate for your lack of work, lack of productivity, depression, that's when eating turns into addiction, which turns into obesity and health issues. And I think the same thing applies to fapping. Only when you start fapping 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day, that's when it becomes an issue, because now you're then compensating for maybe your depression, your loneliness. That's when it's dangerous and when you start relying on it. But when you're doing it once a day, once every few days, I don't think it's an issue. But I'm gonna keep up this journey. I got 1 week left. I wanna break it so freaking badly. But what I actually think I could do is, once I stop this journey, what I'm going to use fapping as is like a motivator. Like I can only fap on days where I finish all my to-do lists. That's when I think you get drastic results and you find yourself being productive every single day just to get that reward. You build strong habits. I think that's how you really use no-fap correctly. It's hard. These last few days are hard. Like right now I'm sort of going through a dip. Definitely a bit slightly burnt out recovering, just because I did sort of come back from a pretty not relaxing holiday. I spent a lot of time driving, and before that I was grinding. Yesterday when I got back from my trip, I just went straight to work and did a lot of work, so I'm definitely a bit sort of jaded a bit, and as a result it's so hard not to break this sort of challenge. But that's the update. I got like roughly 7 days left, under 7 days left, and gotta pull through. Alright, so this is the update on the retention. It's the 31st of Jan right now. Just went off Instagram, and man, Instagram has so much triggers. Like, to be able to really accomplish this challenge with ease, you just can't use Instagram because it just really gets you really agitated. Like right now, it's like 5 days left. I want to break it so badly, but I'm so close, and I gotta finish this series. And this is a very test of my sort of willpower, motivation, and resilience. So it's a very good test, and I'm gonna conquer it. So that's the update. 5 days left. That was the whole 30-day journey. So that's the whole 29 days. And then I made it to the final day. I was very, very happy with myself. But you wouldn't have guessed what happened on the final day. Alright, so this is the update. I finally finished the challenge. It's the 5th of February. But guess what? Last night, I think I had a wet dream. Like, yeah, couldn't really hold it to the end. This challenge isn't really worth doing for 30 days straight. I could tell that this morning I woke up as a result of the wet dream, that now I'm less sort of thirsty, I'm less hungry, I'm less sort of bottled up, and I feel just chill and zen. I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't feel depressed. I don't feel loss of creativity. I don't feel too much loss of motivation, but I do feel that loss of energy and bottled up sort of testosterone. And now I'm sort of more calm. So I guess I can sort of understand what people mean by when they go ahead and do NoFap, that they're just filled with energy and their eyes are awake. It's because they have this bottled up sort of energy. But yeah, I think it's just like if there's like a tasty, delicious burger sitting right in front of you, you're just gonna be always like, you just want to eat it, but you can't. And the moment you eat it, you're not lazy, you're just satisfied, I guess. And it doesn't really affect your productivity doing that. But that's sort of the short recap, and then yeah, we'll do a full recap soon. Yeah, that's pretty embarrassing. I think the thing that, like, I wanted that sort of gratification of like, damn, I made it for 30 days, I'm so happy, like this is awesome, I'm gonna reward myself. But something that I could not control happened. Like, I got a wet dream, and that didn't ruin the 30-day journey. Like, I basically did it, I'm pretty sure I did it like 31 days. So I actually did it more than 30 days because I wanted that extra day buffer, because I couldn't really remember the first day I sort of stopped. But yeah, that was sort of the ending. I guess that was the epic finale, not ideal. And now I'm going to talk about some of my experiences of doing this whole 30-day journey, my takeaways, what you guys should do, if you guys should even do this, if is it even worth your time or energy. I'm going to be talking about everything. So the first thing I noticed is on the 30th day, I woke up after having a wet dream, my motivation just sunk. I was like very zen, I was very like chill. It was like I was not high, but you were just very zen. Like I didn't have motivation, I wasn't extrovert, I didn't have all this energy, and all that sort of went away. Technically, scientifically, like there's no links, but I definitely felt that. And then when I went ahead and caught up with a friend, I was talking much less, I had much less energy, much less excitement, and that definitely showed, because I do feel like it's linked to me releasing the retention and that sort of pent up 30 days. I definitely think so. Even though it plateaued, I do feel like there was a dip in energy. Now, that's something I couldn't confirm, but what I did realize was, just using that experience, there were days where I went out where I did sort of fap that day, and that night or that outing, I was definitely less sort of motivated to talk and introduce myself to people and talk more. And on days where I did not sort of fap, I had more energy, I was more extroverted, I was able to talk more, and that was definitely a fact. And I've been sort of really testing that now that I've sort of finished the journey. It's been probably like 2 weeks now, 1 week and a half since I finished the challenge, and I definitely can say that days where I did sort of fap, the next day I would have less motivation, or if I went out I did have less sort of eager and excitement and energy to sort of interact with people. On days where I would not fap, I would be able to have so much energy to just talk. And I think that is sort of true for me, at least. I've noticed that. I don't know if it's placebo or anything, but I'm pretty sure that's sort of what I experienced. Now, my biggest takeaway is it's not worth doing it for 30 days. But what I've been doing is I've been using it as a motivator. So I think it's sort of due to your human nature where you need to do this. It's just sort of like we've been born to reproduce. So it's sort of in our nature to have these urges. But what I've been able to do is sort of use these urges to get my work done. So every day I plan out my day with a bunch of to-do things, to-do lists. And previously I would always get to 70% of the to-do list before the day's end, and I wouldn't be able to finish it. And then I'd maybe fap that night, I don't know, something would happen, like I'll just go to sleep, but I'd struggle to finish my whole day. So what I started doing is setting a rule where if I finish everything before 9 p.m, I can go ahead and fap if I wanted to. And that has been giving me crazy results. I've seen myself pump out a bunch of work from like 7 to 9 and just take out everything on my to-do list just so I can go ahead and fap. Now that definitely happened during the first 1 or 2 weeks of me finishing the journey. I think I was like, whoa, like I haven't done this in a while. So I definitely had more motivation to do so. What I found is that the next day I would have less energy to go ahead and to finish off my to-do list. If I was very bored, I would go ahead and force out energy to get it done. But eventually I'll go through phases where I'm just sort of not motivated anymore, and that's fine. And I would not finish my to-do list. I'll finish it maybe 70%, go to sleep, not fap, and the next day still not motivated, get through only 50% of the work, don't fap because I didn't finish 100%, go on to the next day. But eventually, as you sort of do it on your 3rd, 4th, 5th day, your motivation comes back, your hunger, your horniness, everything sort of comes back, and it really gets you back rolling, and it forces you to get 100% of your to-do list done so you can go ahead and fap, and you're sort of back in routine. So it's a very powerful thing. I definitely remember that when you're going through down periods where you're not happy or you're going through a burnout, you're more prone to go ahead and not retain. And I think that's sort of a bad move, because I do feel like when you don't retain during a burnout, it actually makes your dip even further, because you're actually losing your motivation and sort of just giving yourself a temporary sort of burst of satisfaction, which is trying to make up and compensate for your current down period, because everyone goes through ups and downs, totally normal, and you're just sort of making yourself go even deeper. But if you sort of held off and force yourself not to, that energy and sort of hunger and sort of horniness can sort of help you really turn that down period and turn it back up much faster, because it could definitely motivate you and get you out of that rut. And you know, if you're going through a very big burnout period, try just not fapping for the 1 whole week, and only allow yourself to, once you're able to get back that motivation to a point where you're able to complete all your sort of required tasks. And you can do this with exams as well, assignments. Imagine if you utilize this for like uni exams, like it would be a game changer. If I knew this when I was in uni, I'd be completing every single assignment like 2 weeks early. But now I'm doing it for work and my own business, and I'm seeing pretty crazy results. But that's sort of my final thoughts. I think I'm definitely going to continue using whatever I just mentioned, using it as a motivator to complete my to-do list. I'm definitely not going to retain for 30 days, because as you see, you can just have a wet dream and all your sort of energy goes to waste. I really think that you plateau. Like eventually that hunger sort of disappears through phases, like especially happened after week 2. I'm not getting really much sort of extra energy, so that sort of initial frustration and built up like energy and angst, like that's gone. I'm sort of near a new baseline, and it wasn't sort of really worth doing, and I didn't have some extra motivation. So I really like to sort of reset the bar. So like let the tension build up and then reset it. Let the tension build up, reset it, because once you let the tension build up to a certain point, it just sort of stays there. It just sort of stays the same, and you eventually get accommodated to that level of tension, and it's just your new normal line. So you definitely want to keep resetting it, and that's sort of what I've been doing. But that's my takeaway. I think this is a pretty unique video. This is not what you think, not what you expect, because a lot of other gurus talk about different things, like they've had completely different results. These results might only retain and pertain to me, and definitely you guys might have completely different experiences, but I wanted to share you guys a very transparent documentation of the whole 30-day experience. Question of the day: Would you ever do no fap? Let me know. Drop your answers in the comments below. Let me know if you have. I want to hear your experiences. Let me know if you relate to any of these things I mentioned, because I want to see if it's just me or you guys definitely can relate or feel the same way about these sort of things I discovered, and hopefully you're able to have a light bulb switch being like, oh shit, I feel the same way. So drop your comments below, because I really want to reaffirm any of these things I said and see if it relates to you guys. But yeah, hope you guys have an amazing day. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your time and effort. I've been putting more energy into these videos, making it more intricate. My editor has been putting a lot more time into it. So please hit the subscribe and hit the notification bell, like this video. That's all I ask for. And I hope you guys have an amazing day, amazing week. I'll be seeing you guys tomorrow with more value. Peace.